there was a de-escalation that they could have done that they chose not to do.
All they said was like, it went well, be quiet, shut up.
Yep.
It went well. And anything suspicious, shut up.
And welcome back. You're listening to Hysteria, the podcast for the semi-apologetic asshole, right?
Reporting for duty.
Reporting semi-apologetic. I feel a little bad. This is the theme this week. I feel a little bad. Let's just go straight to introducing our panelist because I want to hear as much from her as possible today. Our panelist is a writer and host of the podcast Noble Blood, Dana Schwartz. Welcome back.
Hi, I'm like truly thrilled to be here to be able to talk about this because I have a lot of opinions and takes.
Dana, I just want you to riff. I'm just going to sit back and let you riff.
I'm just going to say, I think we should feel bad, and also, we have to hold multiple truths in our hands at the same time.
I think that context clues people can put together. Yeah, we got Dana. We got Dana here. We got Dana here. We feel bad, but not too bad. This probably has something to do with the royal family.
Mm-hmm. Rich people, yeah.
Rich people having problems that are legitimate because they are human. And we sort of acted a little bit like assholes, or did we? So what we're talking about this week is after literally months of accelerating speculation, Kate Middleton made an appearance last week announcing the reason she'd been gone from the public eye was not because she was getting a BBL.
Which was my favorite fun theory.
Which was Alyssa's favorite fun theory. It was not because she was actually dead. It was not because of she was on The Masked Singer. It was not for any of the silly reasons that people on the internet were guessing. It was because she was diagnosed with cancer and was preparing to have the cancer treated. So Dana, a lot of people after that felt kind of like assholes.
Yeah.
Can you kind of unpack what you went through?
And I also felt a little bit like an asshole. I will say, so my podcast is Noble Blood, which is like a history podcast. In my professional life, did refrain from like the more outlandish like rumors and speculation, just because I do feel like my social brand is like, okay, if I'm talking about the royal family, I want to do it with some like basis of history and fact. But all of that said, I do think, we should all feel tremendously bad for Kate and her family and everything that they're going through and offer them our support in this incredibly challenging time. And also at the same time, I think there are also a few truths that we need to hold, which is that this incident, these 2 months, revealed that the machine of Buckingham Palace isn't well equipped for the internet age. Because the reason all of that speculation came about, and it started normal and then it descended into silliness and outlandishness, and the internet self-cannibalizes and feeds off itself. If at any time, before it kind of got crazy, if like 2 weeks after her surgery, she had just tweeted or an Instagram that was just like, thank you all for the well wishes. I appreciate your respecting my privacy during this time. People wouldn't have been so insane. It was the fact that like it was a breach in what had traditionally been expected from that family, which is sort of normal communication. I mean, this is a woman who, after she gave birth, appeared hours outside in a blowout and 4-inch heels. And so we're taught sort of what our expectations are. And so in this case, their actions so far deviated from the public expectations that is why people speculated. And when people say like, well, isn't she a person entitled to her privacy? And I think, of course. And at the same time, because she's a public figure, I think she should have publicity people and people in charge who also understand how their actions are perceived. And there would have been ways to maintain her privacy by just, a statement, or the way they handled that photo was so weird that it just made people want to speculate more.
I mean, Dana, can I just say, I saw someone on Instagram say this, and nothing could be more true, that Kate literally had to deal with a palace PR department where she was like, yeah, I have cancer. And they're like, cool, we're going to have you commit Photoshop crimes though, too.
Yeah, we're going to say you did this because it's fun. That's like the most casual way, right?
And the fact that for someone, and it wasn't just that Kate had 3 kids, and Dana, you correct me if I'm off on any of this, but she had 3 pretty difficult pregnancies.
Yes.
Where I think she had hypermesis, didn't she?
I believe she did.
Right? She had hypermesis, which is incredibly severe, really debilitating. And they still perp walked her out after she had those babies in a dress with her hair done. So it was either something like in the world of the internet and social media, it did really feel like, knowing all of that history, that either something super shady was afoot or something really bad was afoot.
Exactly. And because we had been taught, okay, Kate Middleton, even after an incredibly difficult birth, will be out there in heels doing exactly the right thing. I mean, Kate Middleton has been the one since she was a student at St. Andrews. It's like she was born to be a princess. She knows this game. The fact that there was this really strange breach in protocol, these like vague answers, the non-story, the non-photos, the fact that like that photo, she wasn't wearing her wedding ring, that the Photoshop then, that there were no statements, that like, you know, William didn't visit her at the hospital with the children, like all of these things combined. Of course, now in retrospect, we're like, it makes perfect sense. But also you should say like someone should have been aware of how all that looked. Okay. And it shouldn't have had to be Kate.
I'm just going to say yes, 100%, Dana. They did Kate dirty. They did Kate dirty because in Kate's statement where she finally was, you know, on Instagram and releasing a video talking about her health, there was, you know, kind of an allusion to the fact that they didn't want their children finding out about their mother's cancer diagnosis, like through the press. But in the absence of the royals honestly engaging with the press, including outlets that are normally sympathetic to them, I feel like those outlets felt stonewalled and started acting up and exposed the extent to which the royals have the British press like a tiger by the tail. Because instead of finding out about their mom's cancer diagnosis via the Daily Mail, what they got was a series of stories alluding to the fact that their dad was going to leave their mom because he was cheating on her with a family friend. Like, that's what so would they rather have their kids see that? I feel like that excuse, like, oh, well, we didn't want the kids to find out through the papers. It's like, well, what they were subjected to is much worse.
And also, when are you going to tell? I mean, again, it's not my business. I'm saying this from a PR standpoint. If I was giving them PR advice from the outside, again, because they're private people, but they're not. But from a PR standpoint, okay, you should have a conversation with your children, and also the British press and the royal family has a symbiotic and historic relationship that is essential to propping up the monarchy.
Because here's the interesting thing to me, Dana, to that point, is that these kids go to school, right? They know clearly that their mom had surgery. They I guess didn't know that the surgery that the surgery yielded a cancer diagnosis, right? And that she was going to need chemo. What they were trying to protect their kids from finding out, presumably through social media from friends at school, instead they heard things like their dad beat their mom, that they were leaving, that there were like these sex parties that the dad went to with this other woman. And
I heard
so
a
it's
rumor
like
that the dad murdered her lover and he had bruises on his neck.
So the thing is, I kind of don't hold Kate and William to account, because my guess is they're not on social media, but the palace comms department sure as shit is. And so they were either allowing these horrible rumors to propagate. Like when the bad rumors started propping up, if I was working in the palace comms, I'd be like, hey guys, here's the deal. This shit's spiraling out of control. Let's have you do a video and raise cancer awareness, look at everything Katie Couric did for colon cancer, let's have you do something helpful, and then everything will quiet down. And it's like they let things get so fucking bad that I hold them totally to account, I think, for what happened.
Even before 100%, because even before we reached critical point where they you have to tell us it's cancer, or you have to tell us she's getting a divorce because the public is braying. There were weeks where just a statement from her would have maintained the illusion of normalcy and would have tamped down all these rumors. I think what we're sort of dealing with is the British royal family has a historic tradition of never complain, never explain. Sort of this idea that social media is below them. They are a 1,000-year-old plus institution that doesn't need to engage with people on the individual level. That is just sort of their ethos. I think they underestimate the power of the internet and public perception in the modern age.
So much of this too unfolding, in front of the backdrop of Prince Charles having cancer.
Yes. Maybe, I mean, based on what Meghan Markle was saying, the way that everything sort of takes second fiddle to the commander-in-chief, so to speak, it might have even been a thing where it's like, he has cancer, so we can't say that she has cancer, because that would just be a hat on a hat.
It's too much cancer.
It's too much cancer.
Cancer has been claimed. Look, now more than ever, strange women lying in ponds distributing swords is no basis for a system of government, to quote Monty Python. But I wanted to also say that, I don't know that we are finding evidence that the British nobility or royalty or upper crust is learning any lessons from this whatsoever. And that is because Lady Rose, the monstrous of Chomdomlery or whatever she is, her attorneys sent a cease and desist to Stephen Colbert.
No.
Shut up.
Because of some jokes that he made about whole scandal before we knew the full truth about it. But Lady Rose, sweetie, different country. The sun has set on the British Empire. We got different laws over here. What are you going to do?
People get mad at me sometimes on social media for saying Kate Middleton as opposed to Princess Catherine of Wales. And I'm like,
what?
Great. I'm American. I actually respect the monarchy. I think I'm more pro British monarchy than most liberal people. So back up.
You're like, I am one of the only allies you have, so
I would call her Kate Middleton because I was born in Chicago.
Do you think, Dana, that the fact that Kate should have had to go on camera and speak, what should have happened? Do you think that was appropriate, or is that kind of shitty they made a woman with cancer do that?
Okay, so here's the crazy thing. The brilliant Hilary Mantel, may she rest in peace, who was a brilliant writer, wrote an incredible essay that everyone should go read in the London Review of Books on royal bodies, especially Kate Middleton. It was right after they got engaged. And she talks about the royal family. She was anti-monarchist, but she talks about the royal family saying, they're like pandas. They don't have the trouble with reproduction, but they take a lot of cost and effort to prop up and to have, and they're nice to look at. They're in a cage. It's airy. We like them. They're fun. And she says, asking if we should have a monarchy is sort of asking, should we have pandas? Should we artificially prop up this thing? And the thing at the heart of that is it actually is a huge imposition on the individuals themselves. It is a privilege to be a royal, but it does require a tremendous sacrifice of private personhood. It's an artificial and strange thing. So no, a person with cancer should never be obligated to make a video to the world telling them their diagnosis. But a person in this strange position, there's 10 of them in the world to the degree that she is, that is a job requirement, where I would argue that if they had handled it correctly up until that point, she would never have needed to. They could have handled it better. But the normal rules of privacy, which I know are so sensitive to William and Harry because of what happened to their mother. I think they correctly understand that the press was so instrumental in Diana's death. But their job is so strange that the rules are different. And some of the privileges of royalty come with this strange, complete loss of private identity, which is weird. And I don't know if it's moral.
To that point, though, too, the part of this, I think, from the outset that was not handled well is they said that Kate Middleton, a 42-year-old woman, was going to have a surgery that was going to require 3 months of recovery time. Now, that sounds severe. And so I think that everybody's interest was overpeaked just by that. You're well, good God, what's wrong with her? It's going to take 3 months. And so even from that was not, it raised more questions than it answered.
Yes, and they were like, it was a pre-planned surgery, but she was like canceling engagements. And so you're like, well, already that doesn't track. And the royal family talking to the British press is a long-standing tradition that the press will report what the British family says as truth. But when it feels like they're taking advantage of that, I think in the 21st century, people feel a little slapped where they're like, don't spit on my face and say it's raining. Like, if you're going to have this relationship with us, don't treat us like children. Sure, you needed to wait to tell your children that you were sick, but like, we're all adults here. You're doing a job for the taxpayers. Why are you lying to us? And no one likes to feel manipulated.
Right.
I think that's it. Like, and the lesson here for anybody working in any kind of PR thing is like, just don't lie.
Right.
Tell the truth to the extent that you can. And once you reach a point where you're not comfortable divulging anymore, don't divulge anymore.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I think if the royal family had been like, this is a surgery that is addressing something that can be handled, but it's, you know, a serious surgery that has a good prognosis. She's going to need 3 months of recovery time, but everything is like supposed to turn out good. And we're just grateful for the medical support that she's going to have in her recovery.
Right. Erin, it's like, because when you go through sort of the timeline, it appears she went in to have a surgery, which they knew. The surgery was what revealed the cancer. And so the easy statement after that surgery was, the princess had a successful surgery. She will require some follow-up treatment. Her prognosis is excellent. We will be, you know, like there was a de-escalation that they could have done that they chose not to do.
All they said was like, it went well, be quiet, shut up.
Yep.
It went well. And anything suspicious, shut up.
Dana, do you think that, because here was one thought I had, because I saw right before her video came out where she, you know, her direct to camera, I mean, publications like Agence France Presse, AFP, and others had come out to say, we no longer consider the palace a reliable source of information, which feels sort of devastating. So why wouldn't they, before things got so, I don't know if they've ever done this, and I'm curious if you know, why wouldn't the palace have briefed their major sources off the record, embargoed, what was wrong with Kate, so that they at least wouldn't triple down on a lot of the internet shit that was going on?
That's what feels astonishing to me, that they, quote, trusted them to the degree that they trusted them to report that they were like, okay, our relationship is trusted to the degree that you will report exactly what we're saying, but not trusted enough that if we tell you something off the record, you won't report it.
Right.
It almost felt like they're using like 19th century press tactics with it's the World War I of publicity. They're using 19th century tactics with 21st century weapons, and it just doesn't make sense at all. You're totally right.
Dana, I'm going to let you have the last word here. Are we assholes? Were we assholes?
Yes, but the monarchy makes us assholes because it's so strange and artificial that there was no way to talk about this. If Kate Middleton was just a normal person, none of us would have acted this way. So we are assholes, but so are they. So is everyone.
They made us like this.
Yeah.
Look what you made me do, as Taylor Swift would say.